What's going on, guys? It's Bruce Matson, your host of the show, Metric Scout Fantasy Football show, where we take a deep dive into all things fantasy from redraft, Dynasty, to DFS, and back to Campus Canton and Debbie. It's always a spectacle here, so if that's something you're into, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, tell your homies. As you've seen from the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about some Denzel Mims today, and whether or not we should be buying him in Dynasty. He's a very polarizing talent. He's a guy that's been flying under the radar, heavily flying under the radar, I might add, but there are a lot of interesting specs. So let's rewind this back to his college days. Over in Baylor, he broke out at age 19 with a 31.49% market share of the passing production. From there, he continuously produced. He had 2,000-yard seasons and finished his career with 12 touchdowns during his senior year. He was a 21-year-old coming out of college because he played a full 4 years at Baylor, but he was very productive, especially during his sophomore, junior, and senior year. Just an overall good prospect. Then we went over to the Combine, and he just lit things up. Ran a 4.38 at 207 pounds, so 90-some percentile size adjusted speed score, whatever that is. It's in the 90s. He's fast. He's got size. He's got reach at 6'3". You see that on tape, on his college tape and his pro tape, that he can get downfield. He's got long speed, and he has a massive wingspan. A 90th-some percentile catch radius allows him to pluck the ball of air over his head, away from his body, you name it, he grabs it. Strong hands, very sticky. This guy's got sticky hands. Reads the ball well while it's in the air. This dude's got ball skills. It's what Denzel Mims was known for coming out of the draft. So what we have here is a guy that was very productive at the college level, has hyper athleticism, good size, good length, and then he got drafted in the late second round to the Jets. So he also has draft capital on his side. And then we get into his rookie season. Hamstring injury pops up. Injuries derail him a little bit. But when he was on the field, we got some things to hang our hat on. He had a 19% target share when he was playing and a 29% share of the air yards. So he received volume. He averaged 14.5 air yards per target and 653 air yards total. And then he was also out after the catch with 147 yards after the catch that season. He only played in 9 games, and he was productive in like 3 or 4 of them. He had a stretch where he was averaging like 7 to 8 targets per game. Things tapered down. He had some personal issues in the latter part of the season that wasn't really disclosed to us. It might be. We may have to search through that on Google. But he missed some time, some practices, that kind of slowed him down a bit tail end of the season. But all in all, when he was on the field, he looked good. During his rookie season, he didn't break out. He only had 357 yards during his rookie season, 23 passes caught, but it's still enough of a source for us to be interested in. When we look at this team going forward, the Jets have made some acquisitions, as we all know. They added Corey Davis, and they drafted Elijah Moore in the second round this year. So they burned 2 second-round picks on wide receivers in back-to-back years. That shows us that they're willing to improve the passing game, and obviously they got a new quarterback, Zach Wilson, who slings the rock. And when I say sling the rock, this guy likes to throw lasers downfield. He likes to rocket the ball as far as he can. This is a good match for Mims. We have a guy that runs a 4.38 40-yard dash, who is an air yards machine, and then Zach Wilson coming out of college, averaging 10.3 average depth of target. So he likes to spread it downfield. Obviously, they got Corey Davis. They have Elijah Moore. There's going to be competition for targets. But if Mims is on the field, which he's projected to be, he's going to be winning downfield, and he's going to be getting some deep targets. Is that going to be consistent? Because there's more competition now in New York than there was last year. More talent to mess around with, to fight against. Can he win a sizable target share? I don't know, but he can win a sizable share of the air yards because he's going to be stretching it deep consistently. There's no reason for them not to use him downfield when you got size, length, and a guy that runs a 4.38 40-yard dash. And when you see how he fits in this depth chart, you can instantly picture it. Corey Davis on one side, Denzel Mims on the other, and whether Jamison Crowder's still there or whether they promote Elijah Moore to the slot early, you got your slot guys, and you got Mims and Corey Davis on the outside working. From there, it's the preference of Zach Wilson when he drops back to pass. Just because Corey Davis is the vet who's been producing does not mean he's not going to be looking at Elijah Moore or Denzel Mims. I like both players. And Denzel Mims was a heavy favorite both for film rats and analytic mavens in last year's draft. And he was a solid prospect all through. Good production, good athleticism, good draft capital. And he did some stuff as a rookie. It wasn't a breakout season, but if you remember last year in DFS, he was a guy we were chasing week after week because he was getting the workload. He was getting targets, he was getting air yards, and eventually that leads to fantasy points. When we look at his player value, it's very interesting here because when you look for him 1-for-1 in a trade, say for a draft pick from the DOF, Dynasty League Football Trade Calculator, he values very much appropriately to a 2.07 pick in rookie drafts, the 207. I feel like in real leagues, you might be able to get him for a little less than that. Maybe like 212, 211, 301, depending on how the draft's shaking out. Because Denzel Mims isn't being talked about by a lot of people. They just drafted Elijah Moore. He's getting a lot of chatter in social media right now, and he was very productive coming out of Ole Miss. As you know, I like him a lot. Corey Davis was added to the team. There seems to be a lot of mouths to feed in New York. They got a rookie quarterback. You never know what fantasy managers are thinking when it comes to these players, especially a second-year wide receiver who didn't break out yet. This is the time where you can often catch a Denzel Mims on a discount, and if you can get him on a good price, then pick him up. As you can tell, once we get to a certain part of the second round, early third round, things get a little bare. And this time last year in rookie drafts, we wanted him really bad in drafts. We wanted him due to the production metrics, due to the athletic metrics. And now we can get him at a little bit of discount this year. My advice to you is if you want to get Denzel Mims on your team and you're in a rookie draft, I would wait until all your favorite wide receivers off the board. Elijah Moore is definitely going to be off the board, and so Rondale Moore. And right after that, it's pick your poison. Do you want Diami Brown? Do you want Amari Rodgers? If you don't, if you feel skeptical of them, a similar talent, maybe a better talent, it probably is a better talent, but the situation isn't as grand as Denzel Mims, and you can get him for a palatable price point. If you're not a fan of Kadarius Toney, if you're not sold on Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you're not into drafting a quarterback in 1 QB leagues, if you're not into those running backs like Ramondre Stevenson, Kenneth Gainwell, then you may want to try for a Denzel Mims. And it really depends on the fantasy gamers in your league, and you could be able to buy him at a deep discount, because when you're on the clock in a rookie draft, people are willing to do whatever they can to get up and select their guy because of rookie fever. And Denzel Mims, even though he's valued at the 207 and the trade calculator, that doesn't mean someone's not going to be willing to pay a 307 or 305. I've seen all kinds of crazy trades throughout my career in Dynasty, and you may be able to buy them on the cheap. So this is why I always say kick the tires on players instead of thinking of players that buy lows or sell highs, because you never know. Always kick the tires, see what you can get. Especially with a talent like Denzel Mims. At this price point, if he busts, you're not going to be out much. Anything in the back half of the second and later on in the draft, you're talking about 10% or less of a chance of hitting anyway. So get a guy that checks a lot of boxes, that has 1 year already in the league. You might strike gold, find a diamond in the rough right there. Denzel Mims is wide receiver 54 in ADP right now. I think that's going to drop a little bit more. I think his price is going to slowly drop as we get through the offseason, because some of these rookies are going to get pumped up. Some people are going to pump up some of the vets that didn't lose any ground due to rookies being drafted. And as things stabilize, people are going to forget about Denzel Mims and how good his prospect profile was, and his overall potential. We're pretty much just drafting him based on potential anyways. Even at wide receiver 54, that's still a very good deal for a guy like Mims. Young player. Well, actually, he is an older wide receiver for being a second-year guy. He's 23 years old, will be going on 24, but still, young player that has plenty of upside, plenty of talent, and he's in technically a new situation now with new coaching staff, new quarterback, new offensive weapons around him, so anything can happen. Again, Zach Wilson could come up with a liking to him and start chucking deep balls his way. Zach Wilson chucks the deep ball. He likes to fire without looking. We've seen that on tape. So this could be a match made in heaven that we're not thinking of. I want to thank you for watching the show, sticking with me this long. I must have kept you entertained if you're still on, so you might as well hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, tell your homies, and I'll catch you next time.